Welcome to the Also AI podcast. Discover the latest advancements in artificial intelligence through insightful discussions with industry experts. Each episode will bring a fresh perspective on AI and addresses the real-world challenges, opportunities, and interests you as an IT reseller might have or your customers could ask you about. Featuring experts from Also and leading vendors, we explore diverse insights on AI.
As a leading technology provider, Also is dedicated to exploring the latest trends and innovations driving the future of technology. In this first season, AI Insights with Microsoft, we'll meet with experts from Microsoft and Also, and in today's episode, we explore Copilot plus Agents. Warm welcome to today's guests, Martin Bense, Also, Tim Nagels from Microsoft, and Ognian Dantchev from Also. Nice to have you here, all of you. Let's begin with Tim, because you are from Microsoft. Give a short introduction. Where you're from, what you're doing, and what are your feelings about today's topic?
All right, and thank you for having me, Frank. I'm Tim Nagels. I work for the EMEA go-to-market organization at Microsoft, where I lead our go-to-market efforts for what we call the AI business solutions. It's a combination of what we know as the Modern Work Suite and our Dynamics 365 solutions. And of course, nowadays we infuse them with a lot of agentic capabilities and agents. So really looking forward to the conversation and learning together with you how we can empower our collective customers to make use of these agents.
Wonderful. Ognian.
Yeah, I joined Also exactly 4 years ago now, and I am participating in some of the internal projects where we apply machine learning to various data and various processes. And most recently, I'm also popularizing Microsoft Azure AI services to our partners. We do a wide range of trainings to support our partners.
Perfect. Martin?
Yeah, hello, and thank you, Frank, and nice to see you all. So I work in Also Central team, and together with Ognian, oversee the business application and Power Platform business. That's driving everything that's needed for go-to-market partner business planning for partners becoming better at what they do. And yeah, lots of consulting and business development and adapting new technology here amongst the whole AI, Copilot, agents, and so on. Working with this the last 15, 17 years, also other areas. And I really look at it from a historical perspective, and I see there's lots of potential and more clarity and more relevance in introducing Copilot and especially agents.
Wonderful. And I think we are very international, at least European today. Where are you guys all sitting right now?
I'm in Brussels, in Belgium.
Mm-hmm. Copenhagen, Denmark.
And I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria.
And you, Soest, and Soest, Germany. Wonderful. So let's start. I'm a little bit old and I'm not so sure about things. Can you explain what agents in the AI area really are? Who wants to start? Just start.
Yeah, of course. I can give it a try at least, Frank. There's a number of definitions depending on who you ask, of course. But when I reflect about a definition, I see an AI agent as an intelligent, autonomous system, and it is designed to perform specific tasks on behalf of users of an organization or on behalf of that organization. And often, and I think that's important, without the need for constant human input, so without input from ourselves. And I think a big difference with a lot of the AI technologies that we've been seeing is that these agents are not only reactive tools, so based on input, but they're in a way proactive digital teammates that can reason over data and typically understand context, and based on that, take initiative to complete also multi-step tasks. So not only one thing, but a range of activities. That's how I typically define what an AI agent is.
If I had to follow up on that, I would make it very shortly because Tim is the absolute expert here. But I would put it up versus Copilot versus agent. So kind of has this distinction between the two of them. So if we look at Copilot more like a personalized experience, broad jack of all trades solution, whereas agent, as Tim says, is more like automated, consistent experience delivering a specific task. I heard in some others describing it at the master of one, which I think is a really good definition of it. So yeah, so no prompting skills needed necessarily, but just setting up agents with everything behind it, and it keeps a job done. Autonomously. Sorry.
It's a difficult word, even for English speakers. Autonomous. I can't do anything.
Yeah, I would add, in addition to autonomous, they perform tasks on behalf of the user, but they also have tools at their disposal. Basically, in the past, the chatbots or these copilots were based on information retrieval, mostly trying to come up with a reasonable answer. But right now they have tools mostly to access different proprietary databases, or to have company internal data sources that the LLM can reason upon. Because in isolation, these chatbots were not very useful. Now they have much more tools at their disposal, I would say.
Wonderful. Martin said one thing, master of one thing or something like that. I think that sums it up really good. Thank you, all three of you. You have like an example or a real life use case, or a personal experience with using agents. I've made an agent. Perhaps I can start with my personal experience. I made an agent with Copilot Studio, depending on a game, on a role-playing game. I play role-playing games for, 30, 40 years now. Immense data, immense rules, a lot of reading here, reading there. And I made, in 10 minutes, I guess, an agent with just the rule book and some supplements, and the agent answers me all the questions I have about this game. This comes really handy, and it took me 10 minutes, so I was absolutely blazed.
That's a good example. I think of what we call a declarative agent, and I think, Ognian, you refer to it, right? When I reflect about agents, and also in my personal experience, you have a range of agents that go from declarative agents, as we all know, right? You can ask them questions, and they give you their insight based on the data that they're grounded on. And we're evolving into more multi-step agents that can reason and take actions on behalf of you. And I'm typically then thinking about, for example, in CRM, you see these concepts of sales agent that might track leads, draft follow-ups, update your CRM without you lifting a finger in a way. Or as you've seen in Teams meetings, for example, a meeting agent that could join a call and take notes and send out action items automatically. These are the things that we all know. I think the next step, and I think that's something I'm really interested in my personal experience, is I started as all of us in Copilot with prompts and trying to improve my personal productivity. Then I started to build my own agents in Copilot Chat. I'll give you one example of a thing that I created, I think already maybe a year ago or so. So I'm leading go-to-market. I work with a lot of salespeople, and we launch a number of sales programs in the market. And then what typically happens is a lot of these sellers have questions about these sales programs. So I got a lot of questions in my inbox about, is a certain customer eligible for a program? What are the terms and conditions? So really deep questions. What I've done actually is I created in Copilot Chat with Agent Builder a simple agent that I called the sales program agent. It was for Dynamics 365, so the Dynamics 365 sales program agent. So whenever a seller had a question, they didn't have to send an email to myself, but they can go to the agent and ask the agent a question. And that, of course, was good for me because it offloaded a lot of work that I could focus on something else. And then the other element, I think, that's then the next step beyond those declarative agents is what I exactly just explained around sales agents, right? Whenever I work in CRM, I want to make sure that I don't need to input data that is already readily available, that I don't need to draft necessary communication that an agent can help me with. And I don't need to prompt that several times. It is an agent that does this automatically. And then, of course, when we think it through, there will be more agents that combine capabilities. And the one that is top of mind to me and not using it yet, but it's typically a time and expense kind of scenario, right? Where at the end of the month when we're traveling, and then we need to input our expenses. That is, I'm sure you agree, a cumbersome process that nobody really wants to do. And all the information is actually already available in different tools, right? It's in your finance tool, it is in your emails with the receipts. So essentially, an agent can do that on your behalf, and actually at the end of the month can already propose you some sort of proposal of what your time and expense sheet could look like, while, and I think that's the next step, then potentially already checking with a compliance agent that is sitting somewhere else, and that then checks if the expense that you want to submit actually aligns to the compliance rules within your organization. So it's those kind of evolutions where I'm really, really, really energetic about. I say, hey, if we can start thinking about all these activities that we're currently doing or the business processes that we're supporting, how can I invite this digital teammate at the table to ensure it can support me in that business process?
I can add a little bit extra to your role-playing experience, Frank. So being an old role-playing, starting with Dungeons and Dragons in 84. So something similar on the complexity of understanding. I've been working with Microsoft licensing guides. It's not the whole level of complexity I've been tapped into yet, so automated workflows and stuff like that. But the whole not needing to have to prompt in anything in Copilot, but just go in and actually have some kind of guide step by step what to ask in matters of licensing. So that's what I've been doing on the sideline. And I can say something like that I try to produce back in the days on Power Platform, which now is so much more easy with Agent. It's so much more easy to get around it. And for you that maybe not know the licensing guides out there, it can be very, very specific and very complex at times. So it's not only a licensing guide, it's also a policy that follows along the side and gets updated. So there's many levels of information. And this is my comparison to the role-playing games because it can be very complex, especially the first editions of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons stuff. But that's an insider for me alone. But here I've used it myself, but it's on the first retrieval of information. And now I'm working on task adding that to it. So that's what I'm doing right now in emails. But like Tim mentioned, if there's an email with a question, I can then create some kind of flow based on the content of the email.
Yeah, and coming from the machine learning applications, before the large language models were I think we tried in 2021 to use language models and embedding to our product descriptions. As you know, Alzo is a huge hardware shop, and we have thousands and thousands of products of hardware pieces in each country, and we tried to make these systems that would make it easy for our colleagues internally to find products based on really fuzzy definitions. But with the language models and with the OpenAI service, we can have agents that you discuss custom configurations of servers, for example, or of PCs that you can chat in a form of find me all the PCs with 32 gigs of RAM that have this and that GPU, for example. And this is saving tons of time for each of our colleagues. And this is a good example where these agents can be useful in daily tasks.
So I hear agents are, in my case, very small, used for specific tasks, and can be used to be a lot more broader or wider. So they attach to different areas, and sum it up a little bit more or better. You guys have a real life use case where agents have significantly improved customer experience. Just one, so we are getting through faster.
I think the number one that is top of mind to me is like our own Microsoft customer service department, right? Where in the combination of Dynamics 365 service and agents and agent capabilities, we actually increased our customer satisfaction drastically. We reduced the first call resolution time for a lot of the cases that we're seeing. So as customer zero, of course, we need to adopt these technologies ourselves, and across the different departments, we've seen significant impact of these AI investments. And our customer service department is one of the first ones that was really able to demonstrate clear ROI of this. So that is the number one that is top of mind. Another one that I find like really cool is the Pets at Home in the UK. Pets at Home in the UK is a pet care supplier. So they sell online stuff to give to your pets, so pets can play with that, their food. They actually used agents to help automate, for example, appointment bookings, product recommendations, to your point, Ognian, and also post-service follow-up, so after sales follow-up. And it helped them also to create a more seamless and engaging customer journey. So it's taking the concept of the agent and really going into the shoes of your customer and saying, hey, what is this customer expecting from me? What are the processes that are supporting the customer journey? And how can I invite that digital teammate or that agent at the table to ensure that that part of digital labor can help me in optimizing that? And I was really energized and really impressed by what the team at Pets at Home has been doing.
I can confirm from a partner point of view what they are dealing with on a daily basis, what the innovation is going with this. Not specifics, but just say that Tim, he mentioned customer service. That's absolutely a area where there's something's happening. And also, if you think about it, a Power Platform in the past, virtual agent and all this stuff, chatbot, whatnot, it's kind of a area I see a lot of partners are dealing with, and also sales. Mm-hmm. So sales and customer service. And I'm very impressed by the speed it takes and how fast they are. So I'm excited to see how that looks in a half a year from now.
It's actually interesting because we, as you might know, every year we do a worldwide survey called the Work Trend Index, where we poll a number of users about the changing nature of work. And as part of this year's survey, we also looked at the key areas where leaders think they will invest first when they think about agents and AI. It was like the top three was marketing, customer service, and product development. So those were like the three main areas where leaders expect to invest agent capabilities.
And yeah, internally and when talking to our partners, the CSP partners of Microsoft that we work with and we serve, it's really our sales is much better prepared for meetings, because every conversation, being voice call or Teams meetings or email communication, these all is summarized and automatically goes to the CRM. So just one click and you're in front of the latest information on a deal or on a customer situation. And on customer support, for example, we are trying to provide better support for our Azure customers. And just recently, probably last week, Microsoft announced the new MCP source that is giving you access to the entire Microsoft Learn. And you just take this component and you plug it into your agent, and all of a sudden your agent can not only reason based on searches, but has the entire Microsoft Learn and the entire product documentation for Microsoft at disposal to help solve a problem with Azure technical support, for example. And what Tim mentioned with the Frontier firm, I also saw this concept of agent boss, the way that the employee can actually manage a bunch of agents that can help accelerate work.
It has to do with, and it's fascinating that the frontier firm concept that you're referring to. It's in the context of the World Trend Index survey that we do every year, where we indeed looked into what is now the impact of agents on the way we work. And there's this new concept of digital labor, of course, that is at the center of all this, right? Typically, output was delivered by humans and is still delivered by humans, but now we can combine human labor with digital labor. And you can start thinking of this as digital labor as electricity, so digital labor or intelligence on tap in a way. So this also means that you can invite those pockets of digital labor or agent capabilities in business processes. For example, in a marketing process or in a finance process, and you, of course, even as an individual contributor, at one point in time, you will be confronted with a number of agents that will work with you. And then the bigger question is, how many of those agents can you actually manage? In the survey, we then discussed this concept of the actual ratio between humans and agents, the human-agent ratio. We don't have an answer of how many that should be, but when you think about the adoption of agents, we need to start thinking of, hey, how do we combine that digital labor and that human labor, and what is the good balance? And then as a consequence, and I think you refer to that, is we're all becoming an agent boss, right? We need to start managing these agents. And interestingly, when we compare then the frontier firms that are already on that journey of adopting agents and AI and are performing better versus their peers, there we're seeing those first agent boss parameters coming up. Like those people typically say that AI is a career accelerator. I already trust AI for high stakes work. I have familiarity with agents. I use AI as a thought partner, so I use it to spar. And those people also expect to manage agents, which is also different than a year before. So, but the most important thing, maybe not the most important thing, but I think when we collectively think about agents, those people also are already saying that they're saving more than 1 hour daily with AI, because we can discuss agents at length, but in the end, it will be all about return on investment that it brings for employee productivity, customer engagement, as you called it out, Frank, innovation, those kind of things. We at one point in time we need to be very clear that it comes with a return on investment that needs to be clear for an end user and an organization.
Mm. Do you see how different industries are adopting agents? Are there differences? I don't know, healthcare, whatever, where you see, healthcare and agent, this is perhaps a bad idea. I don't know, not a so good idea, but what are your thoughts about that? Are there industries that adopt agents differently than others?
Well, if you look at maybe all these horizontal services that are similar, the same across different industries, I would say the developers in all industries are the first to benefit. And at also most of the developer teams internally, they use either GitHub Copilot or Windsurf or Gemini, whatever code assist tools, GitHub Copilot in agent mode, for example. And this is really a productivity boost for them. But because you asked for the different industries, and if you, on your example, healthcare can definitely benefit. There, it's a lot more regulated than other verticals. But if you look at the classical machine learning applications, it's like 10 plus years they have with image diagnostics and image processing. They have this already, and this can only be integrated in faster healthcare decisions and support of the actual doctors. So it's on one hand is the medical applications, but healthcare, as you said, this is a productivity boost for all these administrative roles in healthcare. And we touched already on the technical support and all sorts of sales support. But for each vertical, there is an application where they can benefit fast.
I can add a little detail to the healthcare. I happen to know some personally, having companies dealing with that. They already dwelt with AI components, especially in the recognition of images and whatnot in the past. So I actually think that the agent part is kind of a new way, easier way to go about it now than before, where it more or less required a rocket science to do stuff. Now they can just really get productive very fast. I think that's a very big contributor of optimizing business.
Yeah, and there's next to healthcare, which is I think a big one. That's in financial services. We're also seeing strong adoption, specifically around, for example, compliance, fraud detection, customer onboarding. So they're using agents to automate document processing, regulatory checks, those kind of things. Retail is also a big one because of the customer service that we already talked about, but also to further personalize customer experiences, and also from an inventory level perspective. I think we're seeing more and more agent use cases in supply chain, in retail, especially in the context of inventory, or even when I think about manufacturing, to ensure that there is a clear alignment between the actual supply chain and the production environments. That's a big one. Also in manufacturing, I think, and energy. Also, I'm seeing that also in energy. Monitor equipment, predictive maintenance has been there for a while already, but I think now with LLMs and others, there's an optimization. I think a new wave coming up. And then I do see the first also public sector use cases coming up, and education to improve citizen services, and especially also in education, supporting learning outcomes, right? Like scheduling, FAQ support, these kind of things. but I think in general, and you said it right, Ognian, you start with some sort of what are the horizontal processes and tools that are the same for everyone that can help. For example, I can no longer live without the new researcher agent. This is like a lifesaver. It's like having your PhD graduate next to you that helps you 24/7 with the research that you need. And I think in every industry and in every department, you typically have a lot of those roles that help you with deep research. I think those horizontal use cases that we'll see more and more. And you will also see us as Microsoft invest more and more in those more horizontal agents that we will infuse in our portfolio to make that happen. And then, of course, for those specific industry complexer end-to-end processes, we, of course, and Ognian, you're the specialist on that. We have the portfolio of Azure tools ready to start building, right, in combination with Copilot Studio and others.
So the better question would have been: are there any industries that wouldn't benefit from an AI agent? No. Just to sum it up, I guess an AI agent is suitable for almost every business.
But it's a good question, Frank. In a way, I like the question because it makes you also reflect about where to start or how you should start thinking about it, right? And I always think about this in three steps. When you're in an organization and you're thinking about the adoption of AI or agentic technology, your first step is, okay, me as an individual, how can I start using AI? And then it's typically tools like Copilot and others to do what I do better, faster, more effective, right? And we have a lot of use cases. So I think regardless of the industry, that's a good starting point. That's personal productivity. The next layer is then more when I think about a business process, how can I invite an agent to the table, right? And help me in that business process. Myself as a marketeer, for example, I can ask a specific agent that has the capabilities to create, for example, a marketing plan or help me with my content strategy. And with every department, you can start thinking about your own business process and how you can invite that agent to the table. And then the third element is that, and what is typical for the second stage is that it's always with human oversight, right? It's always a human at the table asking the agent to join the work. Then the next step is, how are we evolving to a world where there are autonomous agents that will start doing the work for you or for the organization, and as a consequence, rethink some of the processes? Because we as humans, of course, we've been doing things the way we've been doing for years, and in some cases, we think that is the only way to do it. I think there's a moment in time that agents and AI in general will help us indeed to reinvent some of these processes. And when you take that framework, or let's say, and start assessing yourself, your department, your organization to those three stages, regardless of the industry, I think you always come up with a few really good use cases to get you going.
I think I would add to that, because there's this kind of experience you go through when you use agents and you dwell into it, and it's kind of supporting you in. It gives you an opportunity really to think from A to Z when you try to define a process.
Yeah.
And coming from that background, I think it's really nice to have some kind of support in that to make sure that I think that I get everything right, and I actually get inspiration for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is one of the. Maybe that was deliberately built in, Tim, from Microsoft, but it's actually the outcome of it. So if you go through it, the process, you actually get better to think processes the whole way around, and at the end of the day, that's what you need. So
100%. And it's always a journey also, I think, right? You can have use cases along the way. So it's not a North Star where in the end, everything needs to be autonomous. Far from, I think. But to your point, Martin, I think it will be about on the short term adoption of specific use cases along that journey. And I know you're for example specialized in Dynamics 365, and you have a lot of experience on CRM and ERP. What we're seeing there, for example, that we're already building then those pre-built agents to ensure we help also customers and partners to mature, let's say, their AI journey. And we have a number of agents that are currently in public preview to help with that journey in CRM and in ERP.
And it's super nice tool to also educate people that maybe a partner that not come from a heavy consultant background to get them on board on this in this direction. So adopting this technology and learning and getting better. That's I think is the super opportunity here for the future.
You say so many great things like autonomous working, helping hand. He is sitting next to you and he's overlooking you and he's knowing everything you. Just to be sure. There is, I guess, at least for German, no, I guess for a lot of people, data security, privacy, and agents. I know that the online, not agents, LLMs use data to get better and suck data and for themselves. So how is data privacy and security with agents? How is this? I don't know. There.
Maybe, Frank, before we get to that, I also want to answer the first part. It wasn't really a question, but the first part that it's. I think we're always going to be in a world where AI and humans go hand in hand. It's by human ingenuity that we will get to this adoption and making sure that with human oversight, we go hand in hand with what agents can do. So it's always an and story. It's not an or story. Far from. I think that is the first and most important point. Then secondly, with regards to security with agents, I think we at Microsoft, we take a layered approach to this, right? I think first, when I think about it, it's about, and you mentioned it, right? It's data minimization and user control. Agents only access the data that they need, nothing more, nothing less. If they're checking your calendar to schedule a meeting, not your emails, just an example. The second one is, and this is true for all of the Microsoft solution, is enterprise-grade security. And these agents, they run on the same secure cloud as Microsoft 365 and Azure, encryption, multi-factor authentication, threat protection built in Azure as a technology stack. The third one, and you've heard us talk, I think, a lot about the Secure Future initiative internally, where a really important element is that everything we do with AI is responsible AI by design. Right? We all follow strict principles like fairness, transparency, and privacy. So, for example, agents, they can clearly disclose when they're being used and designed to avoid bias, for example, because that's another point that we often heard. And then the last point, and I think especially also in a European context, is that's more and more important, is compliance and auditability, the ability to audit things. Microsoft, of course, with all our products, we meet global standards like GDPR, specific ISO standards, and organization can really track, audit every AI actions through tools like Purview, Compliance Managers, and others. So, and there's more to tell, right? And we can do an entire podcast about security. Actually, I think we can do a series of podcasts around security and Microsoft technology. But in the end, it for me, it's all about empowering these users while keeping their data safe. That for me is the uber summary of all the things that I just mentioned.
Wait a second. There is a podcast about Microsoft and security. I just want to mention. Just look in the list, dear viewer,
so if you're listening,
listeners. Just pick it. Sorry.
No. So I just wanted to put in a little thing that I think that's you don't forget it. I think, but it's important to say that's the aspect of actually having this AI applied to your business processes. Is that many times companies, they struggle with following regulations, what can go wrong in a security perspective. And this is absolutely what this rules and supports business, keeping that level of security going. So to say, but humans, they tend to do some errors sometimes, and this is a really nice supportive tool here, and like kind of AI applied to that. So back in the days, that was the thing I was looking into. It's like, okay, is that secure? What are you doing? And that's on this first level of you say of security we looked into.
And what is not new, and I think that's important, and especially important now in these AI projects, is of course your data layer, right? And then you sometimes heard these stories of, hey, all of a sudden my agent has access to data that it shouldn't have access to. That is not an AI specific problem, right? It is about how do you make sure that your data layer, regardless of AI, and this was already in the old world, let's say, you have like a secure foundation with the necessary access tools for accessing information, Entra ID and others to fix a secure data layer in a way. And that will also be the baseline for all the AI work that is going to be done in an organization. Of course, we have the tool set that can support customers and partners to do that.
So there's always this layer of ethical and there's just common understanding and reasoning about how to use stuff. Of course, you need to have into this.
And also we, as also, and also with the help of Microsoft, we are trying to enable partners to build their own AI agents. And if they use the tools like Copilot Studio, for example, that provides a visual low-code environment, these responsible AI principles that Tim and Martin mentioned, they're already built in. So the check of the results generated by the LLMs, the models are curated on Azure against bias and various other metrics, and the end result, customers' agents are supposed to be much safer. Said that, all these tools take into account the fact that the space of possible answers and possible results is bigger than the space of the correct results, right? So everybody should be aware, and these low-code tools actually help you build agents that remind you that there should be a human checking all these results at the end. Also, for even more security cautious customers like public sector law enforcement, we do help them with creating solutions that are either on-prem or at the edge. We carry various of development tools and hardware to implement these totally proprietary on-prem solutions using AI without the cloud in some cases.
I think an important one, and in this context and in security context, is the concept of what we call the zero trust security framework, right? Where Microsoft essentially applies a zero trust approach to agents, just as it does for human users and devices. This means that you never implicitly trust an agent with data or actions. So every access is verified. Every action is subject to policy checks. These kind of things. So concretely, for example, Microsoft has extended recently our identity and access management system, Azure AD, Microsoft Entra, to give each agent a unique first-class identity, an Entra agent ID, so that it's just like a human has an idea. And so whenever an agent is created through tools like Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry, it is automatically assigned an identity, similar how a new employee would be onboarded and given credentials. And that's, of course, then easier for an administrator to manage those permissions, authentication, access control. Again, just like they would do for a person. I think that's as a concept important to think about, especially when we think back at my story about digital labor and human labor, bringing that together. We also at one point in time we need to treat it the same way, and I think the context of zero trust security is an important concept there.
Perfect. Tim, you just said it. Treat it like a person. Looking into the future, I don't know. In AI, 1 or 2 years is a big time frame. But what do you think happens in the next 1-2 years in the area of agents or AI in general?
Well, I think I very much believe in the framework that I talked about, right? That evolution towards that frontier firm where we evolve from personal productivity to really inviting an agent at the table to support you in certain tasks, to really reinventing business processes, reinventing customer engagement, and seeing how agentic technologies can help with that. I'm a big believer, and of course, the technology stack to make that happen will evolve, and we as an organization we will continue to add new capabilities, right? And for example, recently, I think a few weeks ago at Build, we talked about MCP servers as one element, so agents can start talking to each other, and like you will see these evolutions in the technology stack where there will be multi-orchestration between multiple agents and these kind of things to make these scenarios that we just talked about to really make them happen. And of course, there might be improvements still in some of the reasoning capabilities in LLMs. But yeah, thinking back 2 years, I don't think that anyone would have expected that we would be here discussing today about agents, right? So I don't know what we're going to discuss in 2 years.
Martin, Ognian, something to add?
Whatever I see, it's kind of a lot of things is happening, and it gets more and more consolidated. So being following Microsoft throughout the years and seeing how the development of things goes, it gets more and more easy to understand and work with. And so, and I'm not just saying that, I'm actually meaning that. So I would expect even more easy access to this and execution on it in the future, and maybe you see the agentic web or something called like that, which is kind of the future of things. And so the boss is actually tapping into agents, running agents, and so and we will have agents having some kind of architectural overview on what's going on. So I think that would be the future of things. And but I'm just very excited right now because it's really working well. And I think what we can see of the results of what our partners do, it's kind of they're adapting it fast and really useful.
And yeah, over the last couple of years, I think many organizations spent time piloting AI, piloting Copilot in various scenarios, various departments. I think the short-term future, enterprises will likely deploy agents broadly for all sorts of workflows, and they'll start measuring ROI where this makes more sense to apply. I think our role as a technology provider would be to help enable partners of all sizes to help end customers build these agents, because obviously Microsoft can develop the technology but cannot get access to all our SMB or smaller customers. That's why the role of the partners is huge into preparing agents for each customer.
Perfect. So this is great because what advice would you give someone looking to start using Microsoft agents in their organization, and how can also or Microsoft help?
The best moment to start with this was yesterday, right? The second best moment to start is today. But I think it is true. One thing we learned also in the Work Trend Index is that when we've done this research a year ago, employees were leading, right? Because everybody was trying these technologies out for the first time. What we learned this year that actually leaders expect more than employees, and we discussed the agent boss mindset is actually leaders that have now a better vision on what that looks like. So as a consequence, I would say, as a leader in an organization, do make sure that you start thinking about the three phases that I just talked about. I think the second thing is that you give access to AI technology to your employees. And at Microsoft, that starts, for example, with Copilot Chat or Copilot, to ensure that people actually start using AI technology, start building their first agents, just like we all have in one way or another. And then I think that the third thing is, and that's maybe an advice for also and the partners, is making sure that customers do not only understand the building blocks of the technology building blocks, but truly, and I think you mentioned it earlier, Frank, that they start understanding that this is a work about business process reinvention, transformation, a different way of working, and that a partner and also can support the technology work, or at least support with Microsoft technology that enables that.
I can do it quickly. I would say what Tim says, but no, personally, I would say, don't be afraid, explore. It's super exciting. Nothing is exploding. You define what you're looking into. I think that's the way I tend to learn things. Is just jumping out in it and try it out. And I think there's a lot of companies and partners thinking the same way. And from an also perspective, I can say what we can support with, absolutely, because we see that in the past also with Power Platform, whatnot, is that you have to remember that we have dialogues with a lot of partners, so we catch up on the best practices around things without selling out. But we pick up on what is actually a good way of approaching a project or demand, a pain, whatever you want to solve with this. We can absolutely help you on that. So don't be shy, reach out, have a chat with us.
Yes, I think we will continue to share our knowledge, and throughout the summer we continue with our also academy. We have trainings on not only on Copilot Studio but also on Azure AI Foundry and various open source frameworks, even on some hardware pieces with our vendors, with our hardware vendors like NVIDIA, AMD. So a lot of exciting material trainings as soon as this summer.
I guess all the links, all the good stuff you mentioned, right down below the podcast for a link. I hope all the links are there. Guys, time is flying and we are getting to an end of this exciting episode, and we need to sum it up. We talked so much. My head is absolutely full. Thrilled, excited, but full. So, could you please sum it up a little bit for, I don't know, for a few seconds, in a few bullet points? Tim, would you like to begin?
Summing up an hour in a few bullet points is
Yes.
challenging. So I might need Copilot to help me with that. That would already be a productivity booster. But I think the main point for me is like, it is now time to start really reinventing customer engagement, innovation, employee productivity, and how agents can help there. The technology is there. And partners are there, so I think it's now time to act. That's my Uber summary.
I think it's AI should not be just another IT project. It has potential to be a transformational technology that can redefine parts of our customers' business. And I would use the words of Andrew Yang, who mentioned that AI might be innovation comparable to electricity, so it's applicable for just about any business. So we are here to support you with the learning processes technology provider.
And I would say AI agents, Copilot is a way of categorizing and being relevant. So it's just getting better and better. So you really need to start yesterday. I think you said that before, Tim, with this, and you need to get a kind of a idea of how that would support you, because if you don't, you waste some time, I guess. But it's all about being smarter and optimizing.
Great. Thank you very much. Great summaries from you. For me, it has been a very enlightening and fascinating experience to learn more about Copilot and the agents. I'm really happy. I'm really happy because I've seen so many insights from you guys. I would like to build an agent now. I'm going to, I have to work a little bit, but after that, I'm going to build an agent. Big thanks, Tim Nagels from Microsoft, Ognian Dantchev from Also, Martin Bense from Also, for all your insights. It was a pleasure for me. I hope for you a little bit too.
Absolutely.
It
Thank
was.
you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Frank.
much.
Have a great time. See you next time. Until then, have fun.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Also AI Podcast. Whether you're an IT reseller or simply curious, we hope today's episode has inspired new ideas and perspectives. The conversation continues beyond this episode. Share your thoughts and ask your questions. For more resources, links, and product details discussed today, don't forget to check out our show notes and visit our podcast website.